Okay, welcome back. We're going to start working on a project. I've selected a fairly simple set of shelves. They're simple, but they'll show a lot of different skills that you'll need for just about anything that you deal with in Blender. Let me go ahead and show you a picture of them here. Oops, that's the wrong one. This is the set we're going to be making. We're going to have some pre-work here because we do have sizes. And so the first thing we're going to want to do, because Blender uses metrics just like SL does. And while you can just eyeball it, it does help when you have the sizes to go ahead and make it to life size. Because then even if you need to resize it in SL, it will still be proportionate to most things. So now, yes, I could give you a formula to convert the inches directly to meters and this, that, and the other thing. I cheat. I use Google. So we're going to start out. We know we've got let me come back to Blender for a minute and hit the 1 on my key. Well, first let me start my screencast keys. And then I'm going to hit the 1 on my keypad or number pad so that I'm in front view. Now what that's going to help with is keep everything lined up, because anything you add will be added at the angle of the view you are in. So that also tells us that, okay, this is our X here. So our X is going to be the 58. Let me open Notepad. X is 58. Our Y is 17. And our Z is 76. Now if we come here, we can plug those numbers in here. Okay, our first one was 58, so 58, so our X will be 1.4732. Our Y will be was 17, so it will be 0.4318. And our Z was 76. So it will be 1.9304. So now we have our metrics for it. Now another thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put in a reference image. This just makes it easier for you to be able to see it as you're working. The easiest way is to make sure you have it accessible in your folder and just drag it in. And this is where you really needed to be in front view because, well, let me show you what happens if you're not. Let me delete that one for a minute. Let me go into an odd angle there. And I'll proceed to drop that in. As you can see, that's now at the angle you were at. Sometimes it won't make a difference, other times it will make things very difficult, which is why I always prefer to add my images in my front view. Now, speaking of front view, on your number pad, 1 is front, let's see, 3 is to your side, 7 is top, 8. Okay, I think I have this right. I can never remember for sure if it's Control or Alt for the other side. So give me just a second here. Let me try it on the Z. Okay, it's not that, so. Oh. Yeah, it's Control. Because if you look up here when I'm doing this, okay, if I hit Control 7, you'll see that switches to the negative. That means it's on the bottom. Control 1 is on the back side. Control 3 is on the other side. So that's one of the ways that you can maneuver the sides, which is also why it helps if you have a number pad, or if you don't, if you've made sure you check the emulate number pad. Let's go back into front view. Another one that you will need quite often is the 5. It switches your perspective from front perspective to orthographic. You will find that very helpful if you have what we call clipping, which you'll see during this project, I am sure. So we are going to right now grab this back on the Y so that we can see it, but it's not in our way. And then we're going to go back into front view. And I like to go through when I'm doing a project that I have the size of and add a cube and make it the size that the finished project should be. That helps me make sure when I'm working that I stay within the boundaries of what I have going there. So we're going to start out by adding a mesh, Shift A, select cube, and I have X-ray on, which doesn't hurt anything, especially at this stage. And some people do prefer to work with the cursor at the bottom of the project. It can make things easier, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that right now with this. Because where we already have this here, we're just going to hit grab, Z for Z, and then 1. That will move it 1 unit up. The default cube in Blender is 2 meters by 2 meters. So that moved it 1 meter. You want to either hit your space bar, enter key, or left mouse click to lock it in after you do that. I'm going to go ahead and turn off X-ray there. Now we're going to come here to the item. Well, tap. You should be able to tap in. Where I move it manually so much, it didn't want to come out. Now what we're going to be looking at here is the dimensions. And that's where we're going to plug in these numbers here, which you can just copy and paste them. Okay, now we know the exact size of what we're going for. In the next video, we'll go ahead and start with making the legs. Which we will go through and do the entire process right down to the texturing for this. Have it completely ready for you to upload. We'll probably handle the texturing itself next week and just work on the modeling this week. So, okay, I'm going to end this one here.